It's 1:06 PM. We will begin this work session of Lake County Board of County Commissioners. The item on the agenda is budget.
This is a special meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a special meeting.
Yep.
Okay. We'll begin this special meeting of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners. The agenda for today is,
Oh, do you need it?
yeah, I do.
Excuse
You,
me.
Andy.
Oh, there we go. The discussion regarding 2026 budget options. First, this will be led by Candace Bryant, County Manager. Thank you, Candace.
Okay. Can I have the,
Mouse.
yes.
I just put a slide deck in there if you're refreshed.
Refreshment.
That can help you with a guide lead through this meeting.
Okay.
I'm not moving yet. Move on, man.
Thank you.
I apologize that it's a little, it's not the best work.
Here is. Okay, so, in our budget, we are down to about, I think it was like $236,000 left to cut.
387.
What?
387.
Okay, thank you, 387, sorry, we've been working on this for days. So I wanna talk just a little bit about where we're at, so, and for you guys, just to give a little bit of background about how the budget process fully works with the assessor. So you'll understand why some of the numbers change. So the assessor gives us estimated values in August, and that's what we start to build our budget off of. And then in November, after you guys have finished all of the CBOE hearings, any of those adjustments that he has to make, people who've had appeals, et cetera, then he adjusts those numbers and has to submit his final calculations to the state in November. And then on the 1st, he finished up his very final sheet of calculations for us at the county. And today, December 5th, his actual formal sheet with the total assessed values for the county is due. So that leaves us in finance with 6 days to make any big changes that come across. So some of the big things we saw that made our budget tighter this year than they have been in the past are losing a lot of our federal funding that's passed through the state and our state funding for DHS and public health. They've lost a lot of grants and funding this year. And then secondarily, we're on the receiving end of about a $5 million loss on the mine front, which is a huge part of our budget. So our budget is a lot tighter than it has been, say in the years before us, and we know next year, without being clairvoyant and knowing exactly what sales tax will do, we know sales tax could be tighter next year, but we do know that that mine valuation is supposed to go up and that our TIF calculation will be changing next year. We also have, when projects actually get completed in the county and come back onto the tax roll, that also impacts our sales tax, our property tax. So this year is particularly tight, not just because we've lost that funding, but for us in finance, every day since the week of Thanksgiving, we've been getting numbers with and from Mark to really dial our numbers in, and he did have he is a different Tyler software than we in finance have, and he ran into some issues the week of Thanksgiving, so Will and I worked with him all week to get those numbers really dialed in to know what we're working with. So we're not changing what we'll do or not do, other than we're finding out our assessed value, and that's what we build our mill tables off of. So for us, every mill that we get is worth less actual dollars than it was last year, because that total assessed valuation has dropped. Which has made it pretty challenging. So we do still have some cuts to make. By the time we walk in on the 11th, the whole thing will be balanced. But knowing that we've got some cuts to make and some decisions still to be made, I really need some guidance from you guys about what you want me to do. Because it will inform where more cuts could come from.
Yeah. So right now on the table is the discussion of where we could make decisions about cutting 387 out.
Oh, no. Yes, it's okay. What are you looking for?
Well, cause I was gonna go to the next slide, cause it has, that's what the next slide is
Okay,
getting
I got it.
highlighted, sorry, it's
It's okay.
trying to help you.
Candace, can you just,
There you
can you
go.
just clarify, did you say $5 million difference from the mine? To us, not in their total.
In their total, I don't know what it ends up being on our end from the top of my head.
Okay,
Oh, I thought
No, not,
our revenues
not
from the
us.
mine are not 5 million less than what they were the previous year.
no,
Okay,
yeah, that's why I clarified too, I was like, that's not right.
Okay.
Those three dots? It just needs to be moved over a little bit, there we go.
okay. Okay. So what we wanna do is we just wanna receive finalized 2026 budget direction from you guys, so we can finalize this thing. And then also just some direction from you on, we're not voting, but just direction on what you think you will do with the mill. I can't walk in here and adopt a budget at 40 mills, which is wild. You have to adopt the budget before you vote on the mill levy. So what will happen if we don't get some clear direction about what you think you wanna do, is we're gonna come in, you're gonna vote on the mill levy, and I'm gonna say, actually, hold, we have to go change the budget
right,
on that day. So that would be exciting, but it's only, I think, like 125,000 we lose, but I would wanna know, so I'm not trying to cut it in the same moment. Okay, we're also gonna clarify major funding allocations and then talk about some of our statutory filings. So we're trying to get those answers from you today. So the direction that we're gonna need from you guys is on what you think you will do with the mill levy. What you want to do about the animal shelter funding level, which I think you put the total amount in the packet, so we'll look at that. The fire department's funding request. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the courthouse renovation, because it impacts our general fund reserve amount. And then talk just a little bit about the DA's office and their funding request.
okay,
So we really just need to know those items
great.
so that you guys can,
Isn't the
help us out.
final decision on contributions to local nonprofits part of this conversation too?
Yes, I just need to, so I'm gonna leave this up to you, cause Matt and I kind of had this discussion earlier. Did you determine if it's fine for them to vote on it?
You know, I think you can certainly give Candace
A total amount?
a total amount, certainly have a discussion amongst yourselves that gives some clarity in terms of the budget. You know, obviously, you're gonna have some differences, I suspect, on what you wanna do and.
What? Matt, I am offended, frankly. Lockstep up here.
Which is great.
Unified front.
And you know, it'll come down to, you know, Candace sort of reading the tea leaves, I think, and all of us reading the tea leaves, and I think if you can provide some clarity in your comments, we can read the tea leaves and Candace can present a budget that's, you know,
Balance.
that's
I can-
somewhat takes into account everyone's perspective.
I don't think the three of us have yet sat down and really hashed out, not a final decision, but what we would like to even come up with.
No, that's what we get to do today.
And we don't
Yeah.
wanna be doing that on December
Yeah,
16th.
Well, we adopted on the 11th, so we certainly don't wanna be doing it. But this is really to give us that time to hash it out, to ask some questions, to have the
Yeah.
discussions about what are the hard decisions we wanna have, we have to make, considering where we're at. So wanna talk about that just a little bit and give you guys the opportunity to hash it out and then also hopefully leave it in a way that I know what to do. So this is our 2026 assessed valuation total. And we talked about this just a little bit because our property tax revenue really depends on this number right here, and it changes per mark. You know, he does the assessments, we go through the CBOE hearings, so this is the total amount. And this is what we build our mill off of, which is really how we run things here at the county.
If you control click on that, it's supposed to take you to a document, but that was why I was trying to drive, I don't know if it's gonna let you.
It's okay, I think we can,
It's just the mill levy table I sent you guys a few days
Okay.
ago, so.
I got that
You
in
got
front of me.
that,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you,
I just wanted you to have it live too.
thank you.
Okay, so I think the first thing, and if you guys want to circle back to this last, that's totally fine, it's kind of up to you guys. I'd like to get a sense for where you think you'd like to mill. We built our budget on 40, knowing that each mill increment is worth less than it was last year, which is harder for us. So, I think if I could just even get a sense of
Can we get-
how the best.
Can we get this thing across the finish line if we don't raise the mills?
I'll just need to know where you wanna make the cuts, because
Yeah.
that's really where it's at,
I have to cut based off of the.
If it wasn't,
And
I
that's
don't
why
know
they
if I
have
should
you,
say this.
that's why they have you set the mill after you adopt the budget, because the way everything I've been looking at is you have the budget and it informs what you need to mill at.
Yeah,
But I know that everybody has different
Right.
feelings and emotions about the mill, and so it
well,
would just inform how much I need to cut from there, and that's what I need to know. I've cut everywhere I know to cut at this time, like I cut
have we,
finance position, our insurance went up this year, which is really hard.
yeah,
It's just more than it's ever been before, and we know next year it's gonna be even harder because health insurance rates are slated to go up 134% across the state.
it's an election year,
It's up to you guys.
the levy increases might see a new face in here.
I'm sorry, are you basing what you would do with the mill based on whether you could be reelected for doing that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are you saying you don't want to raise the mill to meet this budget in case you don't get elected?
No,
And-
because that's gonna be used as essentially, I think it would be more destabilizing for the county to have someone else sitting in this seat this fast and have to kind of feel everything out. And I honestly think if we raise the mill levies, that there's a much higher chance that there's gonna be a different face in a year.
Okay,
I think that's fair, I think that's a fair assessment.
I don't like the idea of having to raise taxes anyway, but
People are feeling pinched, and regardless of the amount, it's still gonna be a tax increase for people, and you know, it's gonna be hard for people to swallow.
Right?
it's gonna be a service
Yeah, oh,
change
sorry.
too though, like we have to realize that. If we take more money out of what we're doing, then the community receives fewer services. So that's where you have to decide, okay, I want to not raise taxes and can you guys stop talking? I'm so sorry. If you want to not raise taxes, you're saying, I'm not gonna raise taxes on you, but I am going to cut this service. Or you're gonna see the change in this service in that way. And you're saying you feel more comfortable saying, hey, I'm not gonna raise your taxes, but you're going to not see
Yeah.
whatever.
I personally feel more comfortable coming up with other solutions than raising taxes first.
And what would you cut?
That's what we're here to talk about today.
Totally, I'm just saying,
We don't
we're
know.
just having the mill levy conversation.
Yeah, and I'm not ready to, I'm not comfortable raising the mills right now.
Okay.
I know it's gonna make it harder.
The mill levy increase it'll be, based on the table that was sent to us,
I know the nuts and bolts of it, it's minuscule, it's a drop in the bucket. But it's the damage that happens from the perception of people who don't understand that. And I kind of look at that as a failing on my part for not working harder to get the awareness out to the community that like, hey, like a mill increase helps the county retain these levels of things. Like I should have been on that months ago and I wasn't. So, you know, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like people don't understand, all they see is, I mean, even Finn worded it horribly in the newspaper that made it sound like if you read it from a position of not being intimately familiar with it, it looked like people were gonna be paying thousands and thousands of dollars more. It could have been interpreted that way. Even though he did use the words assessed value, people
Yeah.
don't understand the difference between assessed value and actual value.
Totally,
So anyone who doesn't understand that, which I'm gonna assume is a pretty large amount of people,
yeah,
see an insane number attached to mill levies. We know that's not the case, but that's not what the community knows, and it's a hindsight's 20/20. I wish I had been more proactive about that, but I wasn't. I don't wanna raise taxes right now, even if it's just a drop in the bucket that helps everything else across the board. I see more damage done by getting those extra drops in the bucket right now than what our first year in raising taxes is gonna show the community what this board is up to, you know, so right now I'd rather make other hard decisions in lieu of raising the mill levy. That's just me, 1/3 of the deciders at this table, so. And also because it's election year.
so I feel like Candace has cut a lot from the budget.
I know,
And what we would now be asking her to cut is on top of her 387, that she needs to cut. That will get her to $500,000 of cuts she needs to make. And I appreciate that Candace has done a really good job with like a conservative budget of anticipating sales tax increases, but $500,000 is a huge amount to cut from a $40 million budget of what
Let's-
has already been cut. And that's like 5 positions. So that doesn't feel great with me when our community is going to need more services. It feels important to me that we are asking everybody to pitch in to provide the services that our community is gonna need in a recession.
yeah,
So
I respect that 100%.
I hear what you're saying, Andy, and I guess my personal preference would be to support the 40 mil. That is, you know, a $33 increase for the average home value. That's less than $3 a month for the average home value, not for the folks
Yeah.
who are in here who are getting like decreases on their tax valuation because they're seniors.
Yeah.
We're not talking about them.
I support your view of that 1,000%, and it's my own failure to really drive an initiative that makes the public aware of what these mill levies actually mean in dollars and cents that have me more concerned about the community perception of us as a new board raising taxes, even if it's only pennies in the grand scheme of things. That's just, you know, that's just I'm pretty firm on that right now, you know, and I'm sorry,
Totally
that's the
fine.
position I'm taking, but it's.
It's totally fine, I'm just surprised about your motivation, and I do hope, honestly, Andy, I do hope that you put energy into trying to help people understand where their money is going and what an increase would be, if that's something that,
Now that I see what the consequences are,
if that's
yeah,
something you
it's
wish.
hard to have that crystal ball early on,
Totally,
and,
I'm
you
just
know,
saying, if you get reelected,
like I said,
I-
hindsight's 20/20. You
yeah,
just-
I'm saying I hope that's part of what
Yeah.
you do to be reelected, cause I think that that's what's needed from whoever sits in this chair.
Yeah, in the back of my head, I'm like, what if Max Cohen's sitting in this chair next year, you know, and it's sort of like, Jesus, like, I gotta figure something out, so.
Is he in your district?
Yeah,
Wild.
So it just, you know, random, whatever, but you know what I mean, it's kinda like, we're,
Is this being recorded and gonna be
Yeah.
put on YouTube?
Now, what about you? Where are you at? You don't wanna raise taxes.
I don't, I think, you know, we voted increases for the school district last year. You know, there's been a property valuation increase over the years, and whether it is just $33 per household, people, and I know it's easy to say, well, we can make them understand that in a safe way, but the fact is, all they're gonna see is commissioners raise the mill levy. And so my property taxes went up, we're getting hit with all these, just getting hit from all sides, you know? So for me, it's a perception thing, I agree with Andy, I don't care about getting reelected. I would gladly switch places with you.
I don't want, I mean,
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You don't have to defend yourself.
yeah, no,
We really don't want.
it's more of like, I see the progress that we're starting to make, and I'm really hopeful for where we're gonna get, and to throw a different person, whoever it is, you know, I don't want to disparage anyone personally, but kinda already have accidentally, but
I'll support you in that, no worries. I'll
to
throw my
have
name out
another
there.
destabilizing shift here, it kind of sets us all back towards, you know, the bigger vision that staff has put forward, that I'm really firmly believing the good place that we're gonna be able to get to if we keep moving in the direction that we're moving. I would hate to see that happen. I also, that's the election year part of it, it's not because, you know, of how much, you know, I don't care about this paycheck, I don't care about any of the things that come with this seat, other than trying to do what's best for Lake County. And I think having a different person in this chair that fast is really destabilizing, so I wanna do everything I can to get reelected. It's an extremely hard job, it's not fun, but I wanna do what's right for the county, and I feel like what's right for the county is to keep moving in the direction we're going. We've got a great staff in here, they're doing amazing work, and with our support, we can keep moving that direction, so.
Well, can't we hope that your projection for sales tax is low? Maybe we can do some supplementals, but I agree with Andy, I think the perception of that mill levy increase is gonna, I mean, we're already pulling back all this spending and stuff, and so to say we're gonna cut services is one thing, but it's all about perception. And we're just resetting, I feel like the last board was just spending like crazy, and who knows where we would be. And it's unfortunate they dropped the mill levy so much and then put us in a position where we're gonna look bad if we raise it back up.
When they raised it for us
They
before
did.
they left.
Yeah, and we were in that meeting, do you remember?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
And
Do
I
you
got-
remember how nervous you were about raising it?
And I got blamed for it,
Yeah,
cause I spoke up from those seats and like, don't listen to Matt for advice or something, like, I think somebody was making that comment, so.
well, I think it, oh, I'm sorry.
If it was in the perfect world, and Candace put a lot of effort into this, but I'm agreeing with Andy. I think it's tough times, man, and yeah, it's a lot of money, but the perception and just, you know, everybody's getting pinched, groceries, taxes, mill levies.
Let's at least do what we can today at this table to look at, maybe there's something that the three of us decide, hey, that is pretty low hanging fruit, that hasn't been something these guys have been willing to make a decision on, you know, I think, are we still in the position where we've assumed we were gonna do full funding for animal shelter and
And
fire,
NDA.
NDA?
Well,
So-
DA is a little lower than it was, so we could get it a little lower than it is.
So maybe, you know, let's do the taxpayers the justice of looking through all this stuff, every single thing, and see if we can come up with something, cause that's really important to me.
And I
Okay.
think holding animal shelter accountable and also the, you know, the fire folks, like, you can't have double-digit increases every year.
Totally, I agree. We're just looking for 507 now instead of 387.
Yeah.
That's the difference that this decision makes, that's all. So
So when I,
507, let's keep that in our
It's also,
heads.
millions and millions of dollars, so as a percentage, it's relatively small.
Yeah, it's an extra 120K on top of,
It's 2%. Well, it's more than 2%.
so I think, we're spending 120K to gain some trust with the community. This
Yeah.
is the bottom line, and I think that's valuable, and I think we need that,
I don't think it's the wrong decision, I wanna be clear about that.
okay?
But I do think that there are other places in which, by cutting what the county does, that cuts services. And so as we see where we want to do spending, we need to see where we can help the community. Because cutting county services is not cutting, like frilly things. Cutting county services is cutting needed services. So let's just see where we can find places to help people more with our budget as alongside us keeping the mill levy where it is.
Alright,
Does that seem fair? Because Candace just cut,
Restate that, you lost me.
well, Candace just cut 25% of Rec's part-time staff.
Yeah.
So
Rec and goal combined.
Rec and Goals part-time staff. That's, those are the people who are with most of our community
Yeah.
all the time. So that's how much Candace has been cutting. And so to cut another 500,000 more, like that's going to be more of those services that people engage with the county the most. And that's why I'm saying, let's, as we're cutting, let's make sure that where we're also deciding where we wanna see spending, that we're also trying to bolster some of those community services that we provide.
Well, you can call them community services, they're, I don't see us as a jobs provider, we're not like a growing company, we should be limiting our services to what's statutory and what we feel like is appropriate, but to view us as a jobs program, I think is, in my opinion, is not my view of it.
I'm sorry, Matt, I must have misstated what I meant. I meant that like, when I go play volleyball.
Yeah.
Or when my kid plays soccer,
You need a ref.
they need a ref, right? And so maybe they're having a harder time getting refs, or maybe they're not getting refs. And so then our rec games are not being refereed.
Yeah.
And is that horrendous? It's not, but people are gonna feel that and they're gonna see it. And that's the service that we're potentially cutting. And maybe the full-time staff will be able to fill some of those holes, but it's also an added stress on the staff to fill those holes that were being provided by other folks. So I'm just acknowledging where the cuts are coming from, and that those cuts are coming from places where our constituents are engaging with county services. Do you see what I mean?
I see what you mean.
I didn't mean it as a jobs, that like we're cutting jobs, that's not the,
Yeah.
I'm talking about what people interact with, and those are jobs, but.
You're right, damned if you do, damned if you don't,
Totally, and I'm saying it's fine to keep the mill where it's at, but as we're looking at, say, like community requests, let's see where we're helping people the most with our money,
Right,
as we're also directing staff to cut things.
Community requests from our partners.
Or as we're looking at the animal shelter,
Yeah.
or we're looking at the fire, like all of these things, I just want us to be really like, okay, what is the priority of what helps people the most as we are cutting from the services we already provide?
was 18.91, well, that was a weird number, did the city go up or did they stay level on their mills?
I can tell you.
I saw the report from that, it was like, we did 18.91, I'm gonna say the number was, which was really weird to me.
It's cute.
Can we separate referee from some of our community partners as, do you see them as essential services?
Like volunteer refs, things like that,
I mean, like, say a part-time ref, and if no one's there to do it, so you guys show up to play soccer, and you can't have a game, so I see what you're calling that a service, so when we're talking about sharing taxpayer dollars with some of our community partners, Matt sent that memo that it may or may not, it hasn't been decided at the Colorado Supreme Court yet, it may or may not be legal or appropriate to give taxpayer dollars to groups that don't make a direct benefit or follow through on their paperwork and their meetings to come and say, hey, this is what we did with your money. Again, is that a jobs program or, there's carve outs for housing and a few other things, but just to give some of these groups money so they can pay salaries. I'm making a generalization, I don't mean to offend anybody, but
Yeah, let's talk about it
when we're cutting
Yeah,
services.
let's stay on track and we'll talk about the animal shelter first, cause that's what, and then we'll go through them line by line, so I think if we keep meandering all over the place, we're gonna burn up our time really
Just in
fast.
general, I wanna get my
Yeah.
thoughts out there,
Yeah.
like we're funding
Fair.
all these groups and all these people. And it's a belt tightening time.
We're pouring from an empty cup right now, is how I feel. And Lake County needs to be very thoughtful about making sure we can keep doing what we need to do, what we're obligated to do by the state and by law. With this, what little we've got in the cup, if we keep pouring out.
And I think that, people view us as a piggy bank, like a $25,000 or $15,000 request, that's not a drop in the bucket. And also, we say we're gonna raise the mill levy, we can't give you that much, we can give you half, or we can't give you anything because we don't wanna raise the mill levy, so, I don't know, I really think lower taxes is better. And, in the future, this county will lean more towards the left, I'm sure of it, and the taxes will continually go up and up and up, so. They're not gonna go down. We're not even talking about dropping them, we're talking about keeping them the same, even as the valuation in the county's gone up, so. It's not actually cutting services, wouldn't it be keeping the services at the same level?
No, cause the services cost more,
Inflation,
insurance,
Yeah.
which is a big,
Yeah, the
huge part
insurance
of our.
going up was a huge thing.
That's everybody's insurance
yeah, I was
too.
just gonna say, our
Yeah.
taxpayers are also
Private
getting,
insurance.
But also probably the biggest area we have left to cut is road and bridge, who also already took a cut. So those are the things that we have to have discussions about these, but those are also big areas.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the discussion today is about, I've tried to really not touch things that I knew were important. And just to be really clear, some of the cuts we've made in the budget haven't been shared with all of the staff who are not directors.
Sorry,
It's okay, but
well,
I mean, this is
to be fair,
honest.
we also are gonna see how things are going and assess every single decision as we're rolling throughout the year.
Sure.
yeah.
This is just a budget, what we plan for.
It should be universally understood that we're at a pinch point for Lake County's future and that we need to really tighten the belt and that moving forward, there might be room for all the things, but we need to come from a solid, stable place first before we say yes to all the stuff.
Yeah,
And
I'm
there are
sorry,
several other departments that have taken cuts.
Okay.
Candace, I don't
So-
mean to throw you under the bus, I'm so
It's okay.
sorry. I really think it's important that when we're talking about these like conceptual numbers, they mean people and services in the county, that's what we do, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's important to not, I think it's important to ground these decisions in real life. What happens when we make these decisions, it's not just a number.
Thank you.
Well, I'm glad that you'll be the voice for the services and
good.
how those, the face is there, like I think I wanna be the voice for the faces that are the voters, the taxpayers,
Do you not want that?
and
No,
I think you do too. What's
No, we're gonna be.
I think we're kinda in the same boat of like,
Don't we legally
people
have to
are-
let people in?
no,
Somebody else.
Is Heath on the way?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, sure.
Who is that?
Miguel.
It's Miguel.
yeah, sorry, that's why I have.
He should be here
Well,
anytime.
Is there like
Oh,
a
and
And I'm
restraining
sorry
order or
for being on
something?
my phone, I'm trying to.
Justin?
Mark has one against him, and Mark is in his office. There's also a
Can we-
resolution.
Is someone on the calling you right now?
Can we do that?
Yeah. Sorry.
Somebody watching where he's walking to. Unmute, okay, sorry. You good? Okay. Sorry for the pause in recording. We had a brief security moment. We had an individual who is
Say who it is.
Miguel Martinez, who is a restraining order on from staff, and I believe there's a resolution passed barring him from the courthouse who was present, so we just had to address a potential security issue during the meeting, so no official decisions were made while the recording was paused, and we will resume this meeting. Thanks for the understanding and patience.
Okay. So we continue?
Let's look at the animal shelter.
Okay.
Yes,
Did you ever look at the IGA and how there's that clause in there that we can revert to our previous years?
Well, there's two clauses in there. There's the one you're referring to that says you can revert to the prior year's budget. There's also an annual appropriation clause in there, which basically says whatever we give you is subject to the board's appropriation.
Okay,
So I think you could, you could make a decision based on either whether you
Okay.
wanna award them last year, or you could even go lower.
okay.
so we can really approve whatever.
Yeah, it's subject to annual appropriation.
My suggestion would be that we do not entertain any increases in the animal shelter budget. That's something I would be okay with bringing forth for an official decision whenever that's the correct time for that, but that's something I would be okay entertaining the idea
What's that
of.
in there? Sorry, I got distracted.
Entertaining the idea that we make a decision about, at a future date, about retaining the current level of funding for the animal shelter instead of any increases.
I'd be okay in decreasing it, personally. I think I'm okay with, I appreciate people's COLAs. Cost of living is really important, but over the course of 3 years, it ballooned. And I wish that somebody had reined in the spending years before last year's budget. So I'd be a fan of reducing the animal shelter.
I'd be open
If we're
to
gonna make
discussing
cuts,
that.
let's make some cuts.
Yeah,
And it seems overstaffed and like you say, everybody's got these double digit increases every year and
We've made cuts to other departments, huh? Okay,
I agree. That we have to make cuts somewhere. Maybe that somewhere is trying to figure out how to say that without.
What?
It seemed like it's.
Well, I wish we could increase the animal shelter budget, as like all the rest of our departments we're making cuts on, but we need to figure out what departments we will even are open to discussing cuts on for a future decision, and I think this would be one that's worth discussing or being open to the option. What would that in that discussion about cuts, what level of cuts should we entertain the discussion on?
I think it's really, it's up to you guys. I am looking at their 2024 budget was 384,836, and we usually pay half. I will say that they bill us as things come in, so they're never just billing us the budgeted amount, they really are billing us, based on expenses. So it looks like the report I have said that the actual was 355,913, but budgeted was 384,836.
so you paid 150 something in 24.
Yes. So half of 355, so maybe 160.
Are they eligible for grants and weren't they gonna start pursuing some of that stuff?
One
Was
of
she
the-
obligated, didn't we ask her to do that? The director of that department?
So we've paid them 175 150-ish or 175?
160.
No, that's only
Last year.
320. She said we paid 355.
That was 24 and 25, we paid 347, but I know that they weren't fully staffed year to date, mind you.
Okay,
And the budget for 25 was 384, 836. I think they stayed at the same rate for 24 and 25 is what it looks like.
Yeah, in 2022, their total expenditures were 185,000. And just 4 years later, they would like a budget of 431,000. So more than double.
It's almost triple.
what does it save us if we go back to what does it cut out of the budget if we go to last year's numbers on that?
2025's current actual, the projected actual 2025 current year budget was 384. So it's just a 14% increase is what they're looking.
So their actual for this year was 384. We've contributed,
The budget request I have from Caitlin, which I'm wondering if you had the same thing, was 432, 557, is that the last one?
I mean, I got
So
from Will,
she emailed
so
like
let me
this
double
morning?
check. Oh,
She emailed something this morning?
yeah,
Yeah, cause I emailed her and said, can you send me the final one?
11:35 AM. I've got a screenshot of it right
Thank you,
here.
that's what I'm looking at.
oh, okay, I did not, I just have what Will sent me yesterday.
439, 115.
So it actually went up from this joint work session. It was at 431, 952.
She wants what did we actually spend in last year?
2025 year to date was 298.
Or for this year, sorry.
For this year?
Yeah, what
This
have
is
we,
2025.
yeah, sorry, basically like, what
Which
have they
year are
needed
we
so
doing?
far this year? I know they haven't been fully staffed. What have they needed so far this year? And it's like, we've made cuts to departments, giving them the same amount as what we are projected to be needing to give them this year.
Total
is-
expenditures for this year, mind you, we probably have one
Another
more
month.
invoice, is 298, 485, and we pay half of that. And then in 2024, they have that we had the budgeted 384, 836, so we can go back to, it looks like we did 2024 and 2025
The same.
budget twice.
I would like to entertain the idea that we make a decision on doing that again,
298?
half of 298. Well, half of,
Half of 384?
It would
Was
be
that-
384,
cause we've budgeted for way more than that. We've budgeted for this, something close to this 430
Yeah.
something.
439, 115.
So if we did half of 384, we're cutting, we're finding some room, and we're still not throwing them completely under the bus.
You wanna go to 384?
Half of,
I get that,
Yeah.
but their approved budget of 384.
that's
the
where
years
we were at
before.
last year, yeah. I say we float and don't allow any increases. If you guys wanna make cuts, I'm more than open to that discussion.
Yeah, I'm personally interested in cutting more than that. I think that budget has ballooned so much, it's not about being against animals. Though I'm sure people will think that, it is about all of our departments being held to similar standards. And that budget has ballooned in ways that it did not balloon for the
Right.
decades before. And I think that previous BOCCs, while they tried to have some influence over that, I don't think that they were able to get it across the finish line, and I wanna be part of.
Could, Candace, I'm sorry to ask for all these numbers, cause your brain is full of them. What do we save out of our budget if we float it from last year?
Well, if we don't
Roughly.
increase,
Yeah, if we don't increase anything at all for the animal shelter.
384 to
439, but I don't know
yeah.
if 439 is the number she was using initially, cause it's kinda had
'Cause
some
it
wiggle
increased.
lately. So I'm just gonna try to start adding up
It's
where what our cuts are
45.
getting us.
It's $23,000.
Yeah.
That's all we saved?
Yeah.
Jesus.
I would be more interested in something in the like lower twos. I mean, sorry, the lower threes.
Yeah.
I think that group works really hard, but I think that the structure that they have to provide the services that they're doing is not a sustainable structure. And I think that like putting numbers, like giving them certain numbers will kind of make them provide the services that they need to and in a more sustainable way. I don't know another way to do it, the like animal ops group, what are we called, what are you guys called?
The advisory board?
Advisory board, like I think that that's in its infancy still, and this is the other part of that to help
Mhm.
influence operations, is the money and the advisory board.
The being that in its infancy, the problem is that we aren't in control of the operations. We just
Totally.
kinda give them money and hope that they're doing the best with it. And I think that angle kinda allows us some room to say, you know, we're making cuts across the board in our own house and we're tightening the ship and we're changing operations. We don't have a say in how to change operations here.
Okay.
So on that note, here's why we feel this way.
It's the same with any other elected office, we don't have influence over people's operations,
Yeah.
who are elected officials. All we have is our ability to influence what they do based on the money that we
Yeah.
appropriate to them.
Switching hats, as a member of the Animal Shelter Advisory Board, acknowledging the need for changes in some of the operations there. I also acknowledge that the shelter has improved in a lot of ways. And that the animal shelter, the whole idea of caring for animals, running an animal shelter the way it needs to be run has gotten a lot more expensive than we've traditionally been, fund levels we've been funding it at. So I'm a little torn, that's kind of why I'm like, alright, for now, float this even. I know the animal shelter overall is a pretty small percentage of our budget, and I think saving $25,000 there isn't pushing the needle very much for us, but it's also a little bit kind of indicative of how big of a portion our overall budget is the animal shelter. So, you know, I would like to move on to the bigger slices of pie and see where we're at, but we'll make a decision officially, you know, whether to cut the budget or float it, and we'll bring those motions to the table, but I'm definitely 100% open to letting this table decide on any of those decisions.
2 years ago, their budget was 352,556. This year they want 431, I mean, that's the middle freeze. And the city could always pitch in more if they wanted to.
And we could always supplement a little extra if we find out we're in the clear
Yeah.
by a larger margin later, you know, it's not, that's another reason why I'm not, fully opposed to making actual cuts. But I'd like to get through the whole conversation and then maybe we can recap a couple points.
Well, and this is also what cutting a budget is, it's little bits
Yeah.
everywhere,
Yeah.
right? So we gotta do it to each one
Yep.
of the
Yep.
pieces.
Alright,
And an animal shelter is non-statutory, we have to have a pound based on our ordinance. And I know that last time this conversation came up, everybody was like, they lost their minds, they were like, oh, the county only wants a pound. But I do want us to like always remember what is statutory and what is not in as like, well, we're gonna cut non-statutory, but just to continue to bring awareness to things that we have taken on to our budget, all the little pieces that we've taken onto our budget that county budgets weren't actually built to sustain.
Alright,
Very well said.
yeah, I agree.
Fire rescue.
Fire rescue.
The fire,
We pay 70%.
That's our
Number
proposed
is right
payment.
there.
Yeah,
Yes, that's our payment.
What if we just did 1.48? Sorry.
Oh dear.
no, it's a hoot, it's a Friday.
It is a Friday.
I'm never having this conversation on a Friday,
One
frankly.
point four eight, we're done, see you guys. That's not realistic, I've sat down with Dan a bunch and really tried to have these hard conversations about how much we want to enhance, support, help, everything in that, and also the reality of the situation that we're in with our, you know,
I do wanna say, I know this isn't necessarily about fire, I do wanna say that Heath is also, and you know, he's public safety and we are required to host that department. He cut some of his hires back to only starting in a half year.
Mhm.
He just cut Tahoes for me and we will not be bringing them on in the fleet. He just gave up a position. He has really
These are
worked with
cuts.
us to just say, hey, we know it's a hard time and really cut back. So we're not just like picking the fun things to cut.
Yeah.
We are making cuts everywhere,
Yeah,
you know, and I know that that's not the, you know, it's not that we here are having to make those cuts too, so it's not even, you know, the animal shelter, the fire department, it's not like we're saying something's not important.
yeah,
We're saying this is where we're at this year
Right.
Yeah.
and it's only gonna be tougher, so I don't know, I'm not advocating to cut his, but I am saying that like we have other emergency services that have like really,
Yeah.
really cut back.
Yeah.
OEM is only able to be fully staffed because we got a grant for it, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, we really are at the place where we're like,
I've had that
totally.
Just
things
about that
cost more
exact.
and we have less.
conversation with Dan, that, you know, like,
You know.
what cuts we make are not, it's not personal, it's not stuff we want to do, it's just, right now we're in the, what we have to do. That is what the ask was for 26, what did we do for 25? Do you know what the difference is, how much it's gone up?
Maybe our fire board rep knows.
yeah, 2025, our portion,
I'm gonna grab that.
Candace, what's the difference in current year actual and current year budget? So his
So
budget,
that's what they've spent to date when that report was,
the actual,
yeah,
so his budget was 2.585, and then this year, his overall budget is 2.835, so an increase of 10%. And just a short few years ago in 2022, it was 1.613.
No, but we're 70% of it, that's why, I'm like, that doubled is.
So that's not our portion, that's his overall budget.
Yeah,
It's just, it's
no, you're right,
it's just grown by leaps and bounds since 2022. And I know that he thinks it's really important, and it is really important, but
we agree with them, it's just what are we even able to do?
we just don't have the money, sorry, you know. We
So,
don't have it.
sorry, Matt, last year, what was it,
Last
the
year's
total budget?
total budget was 2.585.
That's 25 budget.
Yeah. And this year he's asking for 2.8,
2.835445.
so
I
that's
could say the whole thing if you want.
No,
2,585,679 last year. And this year he wants $2,835,445. It's a 10% increase.
it's $250,000 increase.
The the advisory board approved the budget as a, you know, as advice to both the county and the city, and I voted yes.
it's a different hat than you're wearing in here though,
Exactly.
you know. Which is,
Dan did come back and make cuts that we asked for, just to be clear, it was originally higher.
Yeah, I
in the
remember
ask
that.
there at least.
Number was in the threes, right?
It was a 12.4 increase that he cut, or was it? Yeah,
It
he
was
cut-
3 point something million, I think initially.
Yeah, he cut 2% or 2.5% on his budget.
And right now, as it stands, this county has budgeted, you guys have budgeted in the assumption that we would give the full ask.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just a second. So that's an increase year over year just for us of $175,000.
I mean, I feel like that southern fire station's sucking a lot of money out of his budget. That thing's really expensive.
I just shared the animal shelter email pricing will.
It's $6,000 a month to heat that place.
Well, I know he's looking into, ways he can reduce that, but it's
put some wood
huge
stoves
amount.
in there.
He has wood
Yeah.
stove.
Oh,
It's all the space heaters. Every office has a space heater that runs 24 hours a day.
can they put those on timers?
Yeah.
Isn't that a fire hazard?
I don't think that
Old
that cuts.
mechanical timers are digital timers if they're rated to the right amperage
I
on.
think he needs propane wall heaters. And there's a gas line in
I think everybody needs a box of pocket warmers at their desk. Some mittens.
Do you
What is
wanna
she-
direct staff on decreasing this at all? It's $175,000 increase year over year
I'd
for us.
easily be open to entertaining the option of knocking 100 out of that and give them a 75K increase.
Yeah, that feels good to me.
It's still something, but in that might show our. The big round number's always hard for me, cause I know it's so nuanced once you get down to details. And that, maybe 78 helps them way more than 75 does, and that, if we're gonna cut it down to 75, it wouldn't make it much of a difference if we cut it down to whatever, but like.
Well, let's talk about like what people's follow-up options are, cause it's just a budget is a suggestion,
Yeah.
right? So, like you've been referring to, Andy, as if our conservative projections for sales tax end up being actually very conservative and we see increases, any department has the opportunity and any IGA has the opportunity to come back to us with a supplemental. So this doesn't hamstring everyone, it just sets expectations for what we're anticipating.
Yeah.
And I think $100,000 is a reasonable expectation out of a $2.7
Okay.
million budget. If we, sorry, what were you gonna say?
It's a little more than that. Sorry.
No, I'm saying it would reduce it to 107.
Oh, yeah.
If we knocked 100 out of the increase, is what I'm saying, the increase is,
Right.
you saying, what, 175?
Mhm.
We knock 100 out of that increase?
Mhm.
Candace, you think the mine's contribution, you said was gonna go up next year?
That's per Mark. I
Okay,
have just asked him, because that's really his role, is to tell me what our assessed value is.
Right. We should have a crystal ball on that one, right?
And
2
he,
years worth?
yeah, he knows based on what they've.
Okay. Alright,
Can, if we go down to 320 on the animal shelter, this is just a hypothetical. If we go down to 320 on the animal shelter, that's a reduction of $55,000 to our budget.
okay,
If we go down to 188.4 on the fire, that, now we're at 155,000, we've directed staff to cut from our budget. So now we're back to, out of the 507, we're back to
387,
342.
oh, alright.
or something.
Cuts hurt, but we've still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, ideas?
I mean, we're gonna get it figured out, is just really all there is to it. Sorry, I've been cutting for days, so just thinking about where the next place to find this is
Yeah.
hard.
Can we go to the DA?
Yeah, let's talk
Let's
about,
talk about the DA.
let's talk about the rest of these and then let's circle back to like what's
Yeah.
left to go look at.
We're not obligated to fund the full requests from the DA, I thought we were obligated to do that, we're not.
So the way I've heard it talked about from all the counties in the jurisdiction and their managers, which was fun to sit on, they are so freaking intelligent. You can see smoke coming out of my ears. That you aren't just, you don't have to fund any county elected or any elected official's budget request, but you do have to be able to justify why you're cutting whom.
You need to provide them the basic minimal
Yeah.
for them to do their job.
This is
Anything
from their
above.
letter, right?
Well, so-
You need to fund them, it's just
Yeah.
at what level
I'm
you have
Right.
discretion.
Will sent in with
So the
letter.
way that the county managers, well, maybe Candace is gonna talk about this, so never mind, I don't wanna. You do your thing.
Okay, so we have been working, us and several other counties have been working with the DA. DA's office to send a letter to them to ask them to reduce their request. Yeah, that'd be great. And I'm sorry,
What, I wonder what they were getting last year.
Well, that's what a lot of the calculation has been.
yes, so here is what we've proposed to them, there's an Excel sheet at the bottom, that's why I'm scrolling down. We have proposed that we would do this amount right here, which is pushing back on what they originally requested, and what's currently in there for us right now is $337,037 for their expenses.
$4,000, folks.
But this is
That we
actually
would
down, this is pushed down from what their original request was.
Totally.
Yeah, that's like,
But also, we have to rent a probation building for them, which costs us another $38,000 that I think we have to provide that probation space. So they end up being
That's one over by the
371 in our
library.
budget, but
can we
still,
knock that 38K we're spending on their space out of this and be like, okay, we're gonna give you 295 and, you know, that plus the space that we're paying for you guys equals 333.
my understanding is that we are required to provide space for probation, and the fact that we don't have it safely in this building is not their problem.
That's the number you guys proposed as a group,
Yes.
and you guys came up with that number. If we,
Yes, it's already been dropped once and we
Yeah.
came back and said, no, thank you.
Again.
but that 387 that was up on the screen in the beginning is what we have in the budget right now,
No, we have 337.
337.
That's why I said
Okay, so we're gonna
$4,000.
save for,
But it's also just about more than just us. I mean, look at when you look at the amount that counties contribute, we're such a small percentage. It's really about these other people for whom, all of us can't say, hey, this is too much, unless we all say it together. And so even though it's not a huge cost savings, we do wanna,
we kinda wanna toe the line. You guys have put a lot more
Yeah.
thought into that number than the three of us are gonna be able to wrap our heads around right here, so I don't wanna mess with your guys's hard work on that, on getting to that 333.
Yeah, cause I mean, you can see like in total what we're contributing, we've actually pushed back quite a lot.
Yeah,
It's just not as much for us because we don't contribute as much.
okay, well, I 100% will support staff's decision on that.
Okay.
And that's just me, I'm not speaking for the whole board on this, I just, if you put that decision in front of me, I think I just wanna give you an idea of where I'm
I was
at.
like, no,
It's okay.
that's not correct, sorry, nope,
It's okay.
sorry.
Alright, so this isn't really part of this 26 budget. However, it does, after we adopt our budget, really actually become a discussion point. So the previous board committed $5 million to our courthouse renovation. And they committed, roughly $950,000 to purchasing a piece of land. And it's really important for us as we're thinking about things are gonna go up. We do have to have a minimum general fund balance reserve, so we can't spend in excess of the reserve. So it is important to think about, we haven't actually done anything with the money that was appropriated or from our reserve towards the project yet, cause we're just still in the planning
Yeah.
phases. We haven't touched the COP yet, we actually used general fund dollars this year. You guys moved them over through a supplemental or at the beginning of this year to cover, the work we've done on the courthouse so far, and I think it is great to get to that plan point. I wish it had happened maybe before we did these other items. But one of the things that you don't necessarily have to give direction on today, but need to be thinking about, because if you wanted to change it, you would have to amend the resolution that they did at the end of last year to determine how much of your general fund reserve would you want to actually be committing to the project, if any. We haven't touched the COP on purpose, but that COP is around just under $540,000 a year of our budget,
Yeah, just the interest payments alone, or is that,
plus the regular payment and the
Okay.
interest.
So that pays down the principal,
Mhm.
some of the.
We're not, we don't get to not pay it even if we're not using it, cause the project hasn't started in earnest, so we hadn't touched it to be safe.
that is a fixed rate on the interest on that?
I believe so, yes.
Sure.
That's a
There's
lot of
no
money
balloon.
every year for money that we're just not using, I mean,
So,
500 G's
I
a year,
you wanted to keep.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild.
that's a big payment, and that would help solve a lot of our problems. Wouldn't solve the courthouse problem, but
Well, I mean, like, option 2 seems a bit nuclear, what are the repercussions of that? I mean, we can't just say, no, we're not gonna do anything now. And
Yeah, we can. Here's what,
I think it would be, no, we're not gonna do anything, it's like, hey, we're not gonna do anything right now until we have a little more clarity about what we really can do. We
Yeah.
applied for funds from the underfunded courthouse,
Right,
and did not receive any. So that makes,
and the federal funding, we don't
Yeah.
know if we have an extension.
and
For
the
like
5 million that
2.75.
supposedly was put aside for this, we're still having,
it's in our general fund right now, but you can determine you want to do that, you don't wanna do that. I'm gonna pull up a spreadsheet that shows our beginning fund balance, our projected revenues and expenditures with the hole we still have to cut, and the ending fund balances to kind of give you guys a little more clarity. What we don't wanna do is have like nothing in reserve.
Yeah.
It's bad.
right,
We also aren't entirely clear on all of our assets and how much and how much work everything, we've got a lot of deferred maintenance, those have costs. And at some point, you can keep pushing them off until you can't anymore.
we
So-
can't anymore like 10 years ago,
So that's where I think
still,
it's not just a decision to put money towards the courthouse or not. I think it's really what can we do if we can do anything, or do we need to wait a little bit and have a better plan with more clarity?
With money we're not paying interest on.
So I think there's a lot of discussions there, and you don't have to make this decision before we get to budget adoption. But I think being able to see, these are estimated beginning fund balances. We worked with our auditor as our audit's just almost done because we've done 2 this year. Why do 1 when you could do 2? So here's our estimated beginning general fund balance.
Next year's gonna be so easy.
These, it couldn't be harder, that much is for sure. Here's our budgeted revenues and expenditures by fund, right? Here's budgeted transfers. This transfer right here is from the end of 2023 there and 24. There's a pretty big due to the grants fund from the general fund on our balance sheet that we can't leave any fund in the negative, so every year you kind of assess where your funds are gonna end and you never leave a fund in the negative, you transfer those dollars to keep the fund in the positive. By state statute, we need to do that. So this budgeted transfer is making sure that we do that. And you can kind of see our ending general fund balance is this top number right here, the 16,259. But if you think about the fact that you've got 5 million committed to a project currently, and you can amend it, you also have 950,000 of that committed somewhere else. You have to have around 3 months of operating expenses on hand, and for us,
Yeah,
we need to calculate it fully, but it's between 7 and 8 million. That doesn't really leave you a lot of wiggle room.
right.
Considering we know that insurance is gonna go up, we know that costs are gonna continue to go up, and we don't wanna be deficit spending. So yes, we have 500,000 left to cut, we sure could dip into our general fund, but is that the smart thing to do, given what we know the outlook is for losing funding the next 4 years? This is why Clear Creek is really in crisis mode, is they have been spending into their general fund reserve for several years and now the outlook's bad,
Yeah,
right? And they had a full year's worth of operating capital on hand. We do not.
and for the 26 budget, we're still planning on spending that 900 and something thousand dollars on a strip of land.
You're gonna have a discussion about it here in a minute.
Okay,
I also wanna point out a few other things here. If this is our beginning fund balance, our budgeted revenues and expenditures for 2026, any transfers we have to do to, keep people not in the negative, we're not allowed to leave them in the negative. And then you see these dashes, those are funds that have no money left in them. It means if they spend more than they bring in, you'll have to use general fund dollars at the end of each year to cover them. And we do that, it's pretty normal, like road and bridge does not fully fund itself. When it doesn't, you fund it with general fund dollars.
Yeah.
Public health doesn't fully fund itself. It's statutorily required, you fund it with excess general fund dollars. So we really wouldn't want to leave some of these statutorily required departments at a zero.
right,
You're likely gonna need to take some of, and this is projected for the end of 2026, you're likely gonna need to transfer a little bit of money to at least leave, even if it's $100,000 in some of the, like this one won't need it, but in some of these funds, so you're not leaving them sitting with nothing.
landfill closure's 1.4, that's terrifying, cause if for some reason we had to close a landfill, it would cost us like 17 million or something, 20 million or something like that.
And this is only about 3 months of operations for the landfill, and we always try to at least leave 3 months in there, but I will say, like, if this is where you think you're gonna end things, we wanna not leave probably these guys with nothing. You would probably wanna at least leave 100,000 in there. So we can do that at the end of 26 when we're at that point. But I think it really informs the decision of, do you wanna reduce this now in the time that we're living in, by $6 million.
No.
So I think when those decisions were made, the outlook was completely different.
Uh-huh.
DHS wasn't being restructured by the state or defunded by the state. Public health didn't lose most of the grants that run it, while the requirements that we have from the state are still there. It's like we're still being told to do the same thing, but given less to do it by,
Yeah.
with. And so it impacts everybody.
Yeah, COVID
In
era
this
state and federal
picture.
funding levels are just not the same.
So this would be, you know, the budget that we will work to adopt, we'll get it balanced, but this is the budget with a $507,000 hole that we've gotta go find.
Okay,
And so I think it helps inform a lot of, you know, kind of
Well-
the decisions you guys have got to start thinking about
Right.
even after we adopt. You'll
And-
need to figure out what you wanna do with your general fund.
507's baseline.
Yeah.
We would, ideally, I would like to not be at, okay, we're gonna, worst case scenario, spend every penny we bring in, and that's it. Like, that's the 507, right? And I know we're not likely to be in a worst case scenario, but in the event we are, you know, it's like, oh, sorry, you can't get a new stapler, you gotta borrow one from another, you know, I mean, it's gonna get,
I have 2 staplers, it's fine.
I would just like to point out the obvious that roughly $500,000 is our COP payment.
well, it's also half of what we've committed to buying
Matt.
a strip of dirt with.
I don't know
you
where you're going, but I'm gonna follow you.
That's a stupid assumption, isn't it?
Yeah, you're.
I'm going to the bathroom, don't follow me there.
No.
You're right back.
Okay, let's take a little break. Maybe
Point
I'll
of
pause
privilege.
it.
Does
like,
everybody, does
does
anybody
that?
need a, anybody
Hi,
else
Matt.
need a break?
Okay,
Alright, let's take a 5
we're gonna
minute,
take a 5-minute break.
5 minute deep breaths. All you, all of you guys,
Continuing.
this is, it's not as much of a challenge, knowing that we've got the team we've got, so.
Yep.
It could be a whole lot worse.
Oh, it doesn't give you, just
It's right here.
Yes.
Let me find this. Share.
I'm gonna do the hide.
Sorry, Peter.
Yeah, sorry, we thought we were screen sharing. If we were not, I apologize.
Give us a thumbs up.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, do we know what kind of penalties would be involved if we decided to
No, I'm gonna go find that out.
delay this courthouse project to a later time when maybe we could come up with our own funding, not borrow?
There's nothing wrong
Or
with
borrow again.
with borrowing. You
Yeah.
just would want to have had you wanna know that for sure you have congressionally directed spending assured.
To supplement,
You would want to know the full scope of the project and what it's gonna take.
Yes.
And borrow the actual amount you need. There's nothing wrong with debt that's well structured with
Yeah.
a plan to pay it off. It's way easier for us to come up with $540,000 a year than to drain general fund reserves and do that. And also, interest rates were high when we borrowed. It's
yeah,
there are a whole lot of things that I think you would want to know, this is exactly what it's gonna cost. We know we for sure have this, we've got our audit done on time and we know, you know, I think they estimated where they thought they were.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but there are some things you need to have in a row before you're gonna go borrow. I'm not gonna borrow on a house if I don't know what I have in savings.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we could have the discussion of contribute less. If we don't get the congressionally directed spending, we could have the discussion of, is this the best time to do it, or does it make more sense? And I think these are questions, we're gonna have a meeting with our owners rep and the architect team. Is doing this piecemeal because we didn't have a good, solid idea of what it would take
right,
the most cost-effective solution, or is knowing what it's gonna take us and maybe doing things at once? It's like, am I gonna replace all my windows one at a time or like 3 at a time? No, that's probably not very cost efficient, but maybe I should know what it takes to replace
it
all
costs-
of them.
it costs money to get the work crew on the site anyway, you know, so if you're doing it one at a time, you're losing money just by,
Right.
you know, expenses,
So it's a bigger,
To add a little context, so pricing just generally for the project where we are, and the project is, we're anticipating by end of day today, the owner's rep should have pricing from the contractor for the whole scope and all of the components of the project, so that can inform that discussion later. I think also to Candace's point about the borrowing piece and the capital asset assessment
Yes.
analysis, if we're gonna go out and potentially borrow money, we might wanna think about what we wanna borrow for all community needs, right?
Absolutely, Josh.
right,
And then looking at the courthouse in the context of all of our asset needs and prioritizing appropriately.
Right, cause I think the project initially, by the last commissioners, working off of their best
Info.
information that they had, looked like we were going to spend a total of initially north of 20 million on the courthouse, 23. And now we're entertaining numbers down over $10 million less than that,
Down to 8.
down to 8. I mean,
That was
anywhere
with
between
congressionally
8 and
directed
13
spending
and,
that we don't have.
yeah. And I feel like we're on,
extended, and we just don't even know that they're gonna do that,
Right.
given
Yeah.
that the financial situation looks a bit different than when
Than
they
it did
started
with- yeah. yeah, and I'm not like saying
in the world,
the
not just
previous
us.
administration was wrong for doing this way, but I think things changed, the picture has changed, I'm grateful for the foundations they put in place, but
Yeah.
me personally, I don't think this is a good time to move forward with major renovations of this building. Now, that said, there's gonna be some blowback, there's gonna be some problems, there's gonna be some other issues, you know, we don't know what it's gonna cost us to get out of this COP.
I can have that answer by the time we come back, I think it's the 23rd is when we were trying to schedule the owner's rep to come and talk with you guys, and I'm gonna be digging into that just with the budget.
Okay.
I haven't had enough time to really dig into what that would look like, but we didn't touch it at all, at least.
Yeah, good job, thank you.
Wonderful.
Well, at least we'd have some numbers that were good for a little while. Certainly it's gonna go up next year, but at least we would have a scope and some numbers. But to just put the money first and say, oh, what can we get for this pile? Do we need to add to it? You know, it's just backwards.
Yeah,
And also, you know, to what both of these guys said, having the full picture of everything that you have in all of the deferred maintenance helps you prioritize or deprioritize some things so that you can put those resources towards others. And I really think understanding that whole capital assets piece, all of our buildings, all of our land, all of the things, fixed or broken, that we have is really integral to being able to say, okay, this is where we're gonna focus the time, energy, and general fund reserve that we do have. It's not that we don't have a reserve, we do, but we have to be conscientious with it.
Yeah.
Given the outlook is a lot different now, that we know we're gonna be required to do more by the state and funded less, you know, so I think.
Yeah.
It's a different scope than they were in when they made those decisions.
Yeah.
It's just a different time.
We need those feds to fire up that money printing machine again.
I know. You got any nasty colds or coughs you can start spreading around for us in case there's some kind of superbug if it mutates?
It's not fun.
So I wanna talk about this just a little bit, because we do have a couple other things on our agenda.
Sometimes I just wanna be the angel to Ned stuff. Or the devil to Ned. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. I just wanna say that this is the format that you're gonna get when we do the final budget adoption. We'll also have kind of the look back. We worked with our auditor to get these as close to where we think it's gonna end up, but if his final audited numbers are different, we would have to file an amendment, but we can at least adopt it here knowing we're pretty darn close to what his audited numbers are gonna be, and that's why this has taken a while. Is coming from a 2-year backlog of audits, trying to get these from audited statements, which is what we really will be doing in the future, cause the audit will be done. If it kills me next
You guys rock. Please don't die. Do what you can within your scope of staying alive.
Good,
Sounds like a song.
you're seconded. Hit it,
Okay.
hit it. Yes.
Resolution, stay alive.
Well, and not just me, like our finance team works around the clock and we just know it's gonna be so much nicer to become from a place of knowing and not just
Yeah, guessing.
having to wing it and do our best to just catch up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm terrible at this.
Alright.
I shouldn't be driving.
I was like, oh, it's
You're doing great.
Okay, summary of direction request. So mill levy, feel like I have a great gut about where you want me to go. Animal shelter, I feel that what I picked up was we should decrease our pay-in by at least 25K, if not more.
Just to be
Um,
clear, I suggested closer to 320. Just wanna be real explicit.
I would be open to discussing supporting that, that's my county commissioner hat.
Phenomenal. I feel that I heard around 100,000 reduction to our portion of fire. The DA's office, we're gonna stick with
That's the old number,
the
sorry.
projected amount, it's
Three
okay,
thirty-three,
in that letter.
yeah.
Courthouse renew doesn't have to be determined now, but I felt that seeing that other picture of where our fund balances will most likely shake out, where they're projected to shake out in 26, helps inform if you'd like to amend the resolution that we had previously, and that can be done after the budget, before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna enter the adjustments. I'm gonna go find 342,000 other dollars to cut somewhere. I'm gonna be really,
They're still on the other shared screen in the Zoom, so
Oh.
sorry.
Hey,
Just wanna
if
quick tell you.
we entertain the
Stop
idea of
sharing.
not acquiring certain parcels or things of that nature this year, would that affect that
Screen.
320?
It's the couple top left,
It's the 900K we're gonna spend on,
sorry.
they were talking about buying.
I don't
Can I
know,
talk
Candace,
about that
have you
right now?
moved
we're gonna
it?
talk about that in a minute, I haven't moved anything, but we
Okay.
can talk about that in just a moment.
But does
Um,
that change,
It doesn't really change 26.
That's in
I'm
this
still,
year's.
I'm
Okay.
still gonna go, that affects your fund balance, the general fund balance, which we don't wanna be touching to operate.
right,
We can, I don't think it's really smart to do, I think we wanna save that for in 3 years, if we're
Okay.
really there, it will
Okay.
be our last thing we do is touch our savings account.
yeah, got it, no,
Um,
understood, that's not, wasn't a budgeted thing for 26,
yeah,
okay, understood.
so I've got a few ideas about where to go find things. The budgets that are, I'm gonna go back to that other screen if I can, stop sharing. I need,
Sam's gonna
The
change
PDF is where
something else in a
Bryce's
month.
chart is. The red Adobe right next to it.
Thanks. okay, so
No, you said we were taking
Pro-
turns chronologically, and you're District 2, just like
You can
I
change
got
that.
District 3 office. I'm going near 3. That's what you guys wanted.
You can't.
I can actually.
So I do wanna say some of the departments that are getting the most input from our general fund are road and bridge. We're giving them 647,000 because they will take that much operating. I gave them a bigger paving budget than last year and they needed some equipment cost and I'm probably gonna have to make some cuts to the paving budget.
Ugh,
I know, it's one of the biggest places that we are over in.
HUTF,
I cut things
Yeah.
before that.
can I just, for the record, say that hopefully we can make some amendments to that sooner than later. You know,
I mean, if I can, I absolutely will.
Yeah.
Some of these we can't really do much about, this capital acquisition that's covering our fleet. And I already cut a ton out of it. Our insurance, it just costs what it costs. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like,
we can't not
that's
pay that.
3.3 million and we are doing a deep dive analysis this year. Stuart's already started it. How much are we paying in insurance for other entities and buildings, and it's significant. And we're gonna do a work session with you guys, we can't like omit paying for it, cause right now we're paying for it.
Mm-hmm,
So some of it under agreements and some of it I can't find agreements for,
it's that
so if
filing
they
cabinet,
exist,
they're all in there.
I
We
wouldn't
should do that
know.
for some stuff.
But I do think those are some areas that we can look at, and then also we know that we have looked at maybe grants. We've asked for some grant funding to cover the summit stage, so we don't have to cut routes. Worst case scenario, I think we could cut two routes. Two routes would save us $100,000.
You mean 2 buses, same route?
Yeah.
It's a
It's a
slight
summit
shift in
stage.
schedule, we,
Yeah.
I think we've got some time in an upcoming work session that we'll talk about.
But we do have some places we really are trying to make cuts to remain more efficient, but I'm just being real with you, some of the biggest areas that are over are road and bridge. And I'm gonna have to look there. Cause 342's gotta come from somewhere,
348.
348.
Based
So-
on my calculations.
I don't know, I wrote down 342, but I didn't calculate it, I just wrote it down and circled it.
I did 2 at first.
Probably more
I'm
accurate.
sorry, I did a 2 at first and now we're
No.
back up at 348.
And we only are putting 100,000 towards the mine closure fund.
This is how that happens.
Which if a drop in the mine closure, like really set us back this much, like losing it all together, when it's at that point and we have that off ramp, it's gonna be pretty huge.
This is really where I think, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of this year, and we've talked about it multiple times throughout the year, but this is, I think, is where our legacy can be really valuable as commissioners, is setting up the plan
Yeah.
for off-roading, off-ramping some of these costs and ratcheting down the hatches and then coming up
Yeah.
with capital plans that can spend the extra funding.
Well, it's sort of like if we start with this, famine mode mindset, it's gonna be easier to move forward from, you can only tighten the belt like so much before we're like, okay, now we've gotten across the finish line. Now, I don't know,
Well, no matter what, 238, 239 is the year that something will happen at the mine. We know that. So we know that we have to make some shifts, set ourselves up for whatever that is.
we need to get to a place where we're not relying on the mine
Yeah.
for county operations. If the mine is gonna need to be just capital projects and saving money.
Yeah, and extra other projects.
Yeah, have put the fun in unfunded.
Yeah,
A
rec district.
So, hey, some of the things that we've been handed the reins on, I guess we're gonna talk about that later, sorry.
Do we wanna do that now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move to, I think I've got the direction I need,
I'm sorry, it's probably made,
it's
harder.
okay,
Can I just ask again,
I
just
thought
to
it could happen.
circle back around? Since we have heard that road and bridge is one of the places where cuts are important, just asking, I have no agenda here. 348, if we increase the mill to 40, that would help keep the roads paving from being touched.
yeah, but if we don't spend $900,000 on a strip of dirt, we can amend the budget and get the road and bridge their money back. That's
Totally.
kinda what I'm waiting to talk about.
I'm just saying that isn't gonna affect the 2026 budget.
No, but the budget's a roadmap, it's not actually driving to where we're going.
No, but what I'm saying, I mean, Candace, correct me if I'm wrong, but $900,000 is not in the 2026 budget,
It's in
so
2025.
you cannot use $900,000 to solve that 342.
On
Because
the
that,
budget,
yeah,
but if we were supposed to have spent it, and it's slated to be spent taxpayer dollars and cents, and we don't spend it,
Yeah.
It
it
would just be
still
sitting in your
exists
general fund
somewhere.
and we would use general fund dollars to offset our deficit.
Right, but we would have $900,000 more in the general fund than we would have
In the
had
reserve.
then.
and I think the point is that Candace is trying to present us with a budget that is balanced, that
Yeah.
does not go into the reserve, hold up, and what you're proposing
Is going
is going into the reserve.
By adding more to the reserve.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we could do that for anything in the budget, and what Candace is trying to present to us is a balanced budget.
Right,
That's,
because if we're touching the reserve now, and the cost of things is gonna go up, and we're gonna be getting less state funding, then we're gonna be setting ourselves up to touch the reserve every year.
right,
And we don't that's not a sustainable model. It's why other people have, I mean, it like, Eagle and Summit are back at 2024 levels. And they have a much healthier reserve than we do,
And Clear Creek's at like 2023.
yeah.
I'm not saying this, but I get your math, I'm just saying that's not how this works, unfortunately.
Well, for the budget document itself, and, you know, if we're cutting spending on a projected spending, or spending that should have already happened.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe it's not the strip of dirt, maybe it's a giant capital project that has turned into something that has got way too many question marks to move forward with at this time, that still, it doesn't disappear, those funds, the idea that these taxpayer dollars are still in this house somewhere. So, you know, while I'm okay with the idea of maybe we have to cut something out of the road bridge budget, I'm really keen on the idea of replacing that with something that we can cut moving forward, or if we find out that the worst case scenarios aren't ringing true.
Yeah, for sure, when more money comes in, great, we'll do supplementals to put money back into paving.
Okay.
Absolutely, I hear that loud and clear from Candace.
Yeah, yes.
And obviously I support that, I'm just saying that the 900,000 doesn't save the 2026 budget
Right.
because of government math. And I definitely support a balanced budget,
Yeah.
especially if what
Well,
we're
yeah,
trying
it's
to
our
do, what we're trying to do in the future is to reduce our operations. Like, the way to set ourselves up for that is to have a balanced budget, not to actually dip in. We can't start from a place of spending more than what we think we'll bring in.
We're setting a precedent.
Yes, because what we're gonna have to do in the future is to say, no, we have to spend even less and less and less.
And I feel like that's a journey that we're undertaking now, and that it's gonna continue. We find new ways to implement new technologies, streamline procedures, find ways to, you know, help our staff out and make things easier for them in ways that, you know, just through efficiency, like.
Yeah.
It's kind of complicated, isn't it?
It could save us money for this year.
Yeah. We're saving money, but it's kind of weird.
Every dollar we don't spend is basically backfilling this lack of saving money that we
Yeah,
have
But
not been
we've-
doing.
Correct.
We have saved some money, I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I will say, like, no, you are not left with like no fund balance, right? Like, you are left
Right.
with some fund balances, I'll be very clear, E911 isn't ours, other entities pay into that. It just lives on our books for audit purposes, that's not our money. You know, but it's not like we have
No money.
no money, but if we get in this habit of deficit spending every year,
We will have no money.
we will have no money, and you have a lot of things that need to be fixed,
And it could
courthouse,
Also
other
coincide
items.
with the closing of the mine.
It's a slippery
So
slope.
Yeah.
that's where it's like, hey, we can't just get wild over here using our funds.
It's the Wild West, Candace, come on, that's how it's
No, I
always
know.
been done. Let's get wild, let's pave everything on all new roads.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe in the next moment.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pivot to our next piece, cause I think I got what I needed from you guys. But just case in point, like, it is really hard to get the budget balance, especially in a tough year. It just is, and we're never ever, not only for you guys, but just also other human beings. It's hard when you have to make cuts and when you have departments that feel strapped and you have to say, I'm so sorry, no, or I'm so sorry, you all have to wear a few more hats. Like, that is really where it's at, and that is hard for people. It's just hard. It's not a fun place to be in after having a lot of years of, we really increased salaries, we really stepped up, we really did a lot of things that happened before any of us got here.
Yeah. It's okay, I mean, if we have to be the face of the board, you know, the the board that starts the, I guess this is kind of financial reckoning that the county really needs to start adhering to be in a stable place going in the future. I don't have any regrets about that. No, it's not easy, it sucks. And I know, for anyone online or whatever, we crack jokes a lot because kind of we have to, cause if I didn't, I'd be sitting here crying about all the stuff we gotta say no to. So it's really just to keep my sanity, is to try to keep things light a little bit, but
Yeah, well said, same.
this is,
It's a coping mechanism.
it needs to happen, and it's time for Lake County to take a hard look in the mirror and look at where we can start cutting back, saying no, tightening the belt, and that's what we're doing, and, it's not gonna be awesome, but it needs to happen, and I feel good about making these
Yep.
hard decisions.
I do need one more thing from you guys, and then we're gonna pivot to the next thing and go into executive session for it. We have $120,000 put aside in our budget right now
Mhm.
for local nonprofits. Do you wanna stick with that same number? Would you like to change that number? You guys have heard the things that people provide for and do with us. I have a personal goal of every time we have a grant that could use a community partner, of really trying to increase our opportunities to partner with them. Because I think that's a great way we can
Yeah.
really support our local nonprofits that isn't through revenues. And so I think that I do know that is gonna be a big focus for us, is how can we write other partners into grants. And I know we do that in some areas already, but I think it's a great way to be a better partner and also just make us more competitive for grants, because a lot of grantors are wanting to impact more than just one person. They're not wanting to fund government operations, they're wanting to fund impact in communities. So that is a thing that we will definitely be doing, but I need some thoughts about whether you wanna keep it where it's at, decrease it, increase it, what you would like to do, and this is not saying who you're gonna give what. That can be decided before the end of this month. I just need to know the total bucket number you need in the, or the direction you would like that to be going as we try to get our budget balanced.
My gut reaction is to cut it in half. And it hurts to say, like I was just alluding to earlier, just a minute ago, like, I hate being the one to say no, but if we're saying no to so many other things, this isn't even cutting it off completely, we're still gonna try to help people out with what we have the capacity for, but I don't think we can do it in the way that we've been doing it traditionally for this year. And if things change, maybe we can find some more to help out with, but for right now, at the very least, I'd like to cut that in half, and I'm open to conversation on that.
I think if we cut it in half, I'd be interested in knowing what we're funding, because because based on what we were asked to fund, some of those things are,
3 times the ask, what we would even have, sorry.
I didn't see that, I added them all up and
Well, the one group asked for one,
that's for the whole amount,
yeah.
which I think was like a, hey, whatever you can give us. That's what I understand from that group. So,
Multiple people in that group.
and it's many
Yeah,
organizations. Anyway, we have 100, when I calculated it, I put Stronger Futures as a $25,000 ask, knowing that they're just like a whatever you can do ask. But if we just did that, it's $130,000 worth of requests. Because Chafee Housing Trust removed theirs because they're going to the
yeah,
Regional Housing Authority. Yeah, so I would personally rather have a conversation about what we're interested in funding if we're gonna cut it in half. Because like I said in the beginning, I'd rather be funding people who are providing direct services to
Sure.
folks who need it most.
and
We're not raising mills.
I understand and respect that approach, I think I'm just looking at it conversely and saying, I wanna know how big our pie is before we decide how to slice it up.
Sure.
And you're saying, here's the slices people are needing, how big should we bake the pie? you know?
No, I'm saying if you wanna go to 60,000,
Mhm.
I wanna have them convert, I wanna have the conversation jointly. So it's not just a number, it's also we're talking about the service.
Yeah.
So just like we have been doing with all of these conversations and suggestions, we're having them conversely.
Go through each one. Is that what you're saying, like,
Yeah, it can be high level if you want, but we've got 15,000 to small business. If we're going down to 60, I'd say nothing to them. I'll just tell you what I think, how about that? I think nothing to the Small Business Development Center. Tabor, I say nothing to them. Treetop, that's the child advocacy, sexual assault group. I say 25,000 to them, give them the full amount. Stronger Futures, I say give them 25,000.
that's the group?
That's the group who's giving it directly to families who need it. They have like a family resource center that has popped up that we don't have anywhere else in this county. It doesn't go to any operations, that money. Chamber, nothing. Conservation District, 10,000. That's cut in half by her $20,000 ask. So that's how I would prioritize any extra funds we have, is getting them directly to people who need it, who are providing crucial services to people's survival. And much as I would love to give money to folks who are doing economic development, that's not where it's not where I think we have the privilege to be spending money. So if we're going down to 60,000, I would rather have a conversation about what that actually means
That's
for the
smart,
people who've asked.
that's smart, I like that approach a lot. Instead of just saying, you got, what about the group that got together, with the
That's Stronger Futures.
Stronger Futures? And
That
their
one-
ask was 125.
It was just for the whole amount that we had.
Oh, I see.
And so in this conversation I just had,
Mhm.
I cut theirs down to 25,000 because they're providing a family resource center,
Yeah.
which we do not have otherwise in this community. And all of those groups got together because they have created kind of like a multi-entry point agreement where no matter which organization somebody goes through, they get them to the resources that are needed. So if somebody gets approached through the advocates and the advocates know that C4 has money, they get them connected to C4. And this kind of funnels more money into a more central location through Full Circle, but it's still in that multi-point, that multi-access point model. And none of the funds go to operations, and I think that that's really admirable in a time when all of these nonprofits could have been asking us for dollars, because their operational grants are drying up.
I like that approach, I think that's smart.
What do you think, Andy?
It's really unfortunate, but it's smart.
So your key players that you wanna see the most help go to, as far as helping actual
Treetop.
human beings, Treetop, I agree.
Treetop, Stronger Futures, Conservation. The rest of them are economic development requests. Conservation, they help us directly, we don't currently have anybody doing that work. And like we heard from Harmony, she relies directly on getting some operational funding from us. She's helping landowners, she's helping with fire management, she's helping convene federal agencies to talk about how they can work best in our community. And I'm not giving the full amount, I'm suggesting half of that. I'd personally rather go up to closer to $80,000 and bump up Stronger Futures and give conservation the full request.
Wait till 4.
Treetop 25, Stronger Futures 25, Conservation 10. I say we do 20 to Treetop and Stronger Futures. 10 to Conservation. Split that last 10 up between the remaining elements in some way.
So I really think Stronger Futures is a huge benefit, and I'm just gonna say, that goes directly to people not being evicted. That goes to helping people keep the heat on. That goes to helping people buy groceries or getting money to St. George when St. George doesn't have funding.
I understand, here's my problem with the conglomerate, is that once it's in their hands, I don't have any way to say who's getting what, and there are groups in there that we have already given significant amounts of money to, or steered significant amounts of money into their buckets. And it feels a little unfair to me to not know that the money we're giving Stronger Futures only goes towards which ones in that conglomerate are the ones we have not been able to help so far. That it muddies the waters for me a lot.
Wait, say more, I didn't follow that.
So like, we've steered significant amounts of money towards some of the groups in Stronger Futures.
Okay.
You know, when people needed a hand, we did it on the spot, or we've steered large grant dollars into their pockets.
Yeah.
We've helped some people in that group. Once we commit money to that group, we've got a traditional lack of reporting back from groups. We don't know what happens to it once it's in their hands. Sure, we're being told, you know, I would have almost preferred they stayed split up, because I don't know what happens to these taxpayer dollars once they go into this conglomerate. I'm just being told, oh, it's gonna help people, and that's kind of what, we're such an interconnected community, everything's gonna help people in some way. I know there are things like Treetop, things like, you know, victims, people who really need the help more than others, you know, like I understand the prioritization that you're getting at. My problem with the big conglomerate is trying to have an idea of how that gets divvied up, how that is steered towards, you know, we can only help so many people, and having some of those people we've already helped out be part of a group that we're putting at the top of the help chain makes it hard for me to wrap my head around.
Okay, maybe it would take, it sounds like it would be worth you talking to them again, Andy, because it's not going to everybody, it's just going to Full Circle. That is where the family resource operation has been built since we did the, since 2020. And that's where they created a working group that helps direct those funds from multiple agencies, but it lives in Full Circle. So this isn't going to everybody. This isn't going to Full Circle's operations. This is going to Full Circle's pot that was created from the, what was it called? During COVID, everybody donated lots of money to the, does anybody remember? Nobody remembers this? Unmet Needs Coalition. And through all of that work, we realized that the community did not have a family resource center. And Full Circle helped pivot its mission to be able to provide a family resource type agency with the help of multiple nonprofits to create a multi-access point to get to the family resource center, such as it is. So this isn't going to all these folks. It's not going to all these groups. All these groups got together and said, hey, please give money to Full Circle's fund that used to live with the Lake County Community Fund.
Okay, so then when, say, the advocates have something come up that they need help with, they will be able to go to Full Circle and say, hey, we need this thing.
Yeah, if it's going directly to services, if it's going directly to a person. Just like and they explained this when they did their presentation, like if St. George needs money to buy food, only to buy food, not to pay staff, they can potentially go to this place. Like if SNAP shuts down again, the only way that St. George can get funding from this group is by putting those dollars directly into food purchasing. It cannot go to staff, it cannot go to overhead, it can't go to keeping the lights on. It only goes directly into people's homes.
So their request was 120, and you're suggesting we give them how much?
25.
I said that in the $60,000
Mm-hmm.
idea. And I said I would be more interested in going to $80,000, cutting that 120 down to 80,000, which is a third reduction, and going 35,000 to Stronger Futures, and full 20,000 to the conservation,
And how much did you talk?
20,000. Or
So total
25,
of what, I'm sorry,
80,000.
not 60, sorry.
I'm just proposing 80. And they have presented to us multiple times this year, so I feel like we hear from them quite often. It's not like it's going into a black hole.
No, I know it's not going into a black hole. I still have, don't take this personally, don't take this the wrong way. Like, there's some contradictory approaches that we're taking, where you're like, we're taking services away from other people.
Yeah.
And then, you'll say non-statutory, and we can't afford to continue to give at the level we've been giving, but I still strongly feel like we need to cut this pie in half and then divvy it up. I think looking at what the wish list we want for each person doesn't do justice to the bigger picture of what we need to cut out of this budget, what we need to do to try to keep Lake County doing what at least it is supposed to do and what our goal is, to truly trim the fat. And I'm not saying this is fat, that's the wrong verbiage to use, and I apologize, but what I'm saying is that if we're really making these super hard cuts across the board, I don't wanna let I gotta detach my emotions from this, and as much as I wanna see every single one of those groups get some help, I've gotta treat everyone equally, and I don't feel like we're doing that genuinely. I feel like there's a little bit of playing favorites, and I don't mean that personally, I just mean,
No, I'm definitely playing favorites, I think you're reading that right, and my favoritism comes from the people who are serving are folks who need it most. And I bring up statutory with my fiscally responsible hat on, where it's like, hey, we literally have to do this, it's against the law to not do it. And then within all the non-statutory, when we're in really tight times, I think it's important to help provide for people's basic needs.
yeah,
And all of our non-statutory departments don't provide for people's basic needs.
yeah,
But we have people in this community who do provide for people's
Yeah.
basic needs. So it's not a fast and hard black and white statutory versus non-statutory for
so
me.
not black and white.
Right, and so that's why I'm saying, as we reduce services, I am happy to not provide a referee for soccer. We can all pitch in and figure that
Yeah.
out. But I would much rather, if we don't provide that referee, I do wanna make sure that people are fed. And I think that we don't feed people directly through our budget.
No,
But we have the privilege of having extra funds put aside as a culture in this place of saying, okay, there are other people who do this
yeah,
that we don't do, and I wanna make sure that we're helping them do that work
yeah,
when times are tough. So that's why some of these things are favorites to
are
me.
more important to you. And
Yeah, they align
get
with my values in ways
Yeah.
that the government doesn't.
What I'm trying to do is look at the chessboard and think about which moves are gonna have effects for like a few moves ahead.
Yeah,
And when I see things like, we wanna feed families, but we're gonna cut out funding for the Tabor that brings people into town who will go to a show but then get dinner, and then those servers are getting tip money and they get home
Totally.
and they can, if they aren't getting those, if the economic component is completely neglected, more people are gonna need to rely on these services. So we're in such a small and interconnected community that when I look at, when we cut someone out completely, there's gonna be an effect 4 steps later that we might not have thought of, is what I'm trying to comprehend right now, and that's why I'm like,
Yeah,
let's still do something across the board. Because there is a important component that I'm seeing, I mean, maybe we don't,
Here's
I,
I hear you, Andy, I think that, yes, I agree, we're all interconnected. Economic development, we need that when we're in a recession, right? We need to actually invest
Mhm.
money in the things that will help keep people afloat. And like, when it comes to the role of government, even though I care deeply about economic development, that's not like in our purview, that's not our actual task. And so helping people stay safe is our task. And safety, what we can do in this entire environment and ecosystem is to try to help people stay fed and to try to help kids have a voice. And I can't choose everything.
Mhm.
And I think it's important also to not, I think that we can see this directly in this building, is that so many of our funds have been spread over so many different initiatives that sometimes we're not actually effective in any of them. And so I don't want, this is just like a little microcosm of that, of saying, I don't actually wanna continue doing that, spreading it over everything. I'm gonna try to be really intentional about where we put our money
Mhm.
and hope to be at the tables where other people can make decisions to influx other places. And at the leadership roundtable meetings, this approach is what we've been talking about. This approach of serving Maslow's needs is what we've been talking about. And I would even say that treetop and conservation don't get there, but to me, they're my next level. So that's why I see what you're saying, and personally, it's just not my approach. Cause we're all interconnected and we can't help everyone. So I'd rather help people as much as I can in really direct ways. As much as we can.
Is Treetop, how do they support GHS?
DHS?
Yeah, or our Health and Human Services Department, is that HHS?
They don't.
They don't work with them, or is that a duplicate service?
They can refer, like
Indirectly.
DHS can refer somebody to Treetop. But Treetop provides forensic interviews for children who've experienced horrific trauma.
Sure.
And they're bilingual, and it's a multilingual service. And they serve our region, so they're in Summit. So I'd say actually mostly what they serve is our law enforcement.
And when I look at that versus the Tabor Opera House, I mean, they can generate income. Treetop, I don't think can generate income, and I'm tending towards Elsie's argument on this one. Same with economic development, there's a lot of groups doing that work. Adam gets paid pretty well to do, he has an assistant or two and stable funds, and so I don't know, I think when I look at those two programs, helping kids that have been traumatized versus a little stipends to the Opera House to make them feel good, like, hey, we didn't forget you, here's $1,500, which is that just to make us feel good, like, we spread it thin around everywhere, here's some to you, Nancy, no offense to anybody, but here's some to just a little bit to everybody, so I guess
I'm okay, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to get across is that I understand the importance of these key groups that we've been focusing on in this short conversation here. I just feel like I'm kind of the opposite mind, there should be carved out a small bit of this pie to at least help out to some capacity the other groups, and we are drastically reducing the overall number. but, you know, we've seen the charts firsthand that show what happens when some of these lower priority things are neglected and they have these long-term rippling effects across the community, and I'm just thinking about what are some of those long-term effects. So while I would love to see the lion's share go towards Family Circle, Advocates, Treetop, I think completely neglecting the other aspects, it's not just a feel-good thing for me, it's me thinking about this chessboard and not wanting to make a bad move.
Yeah, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
The Taylor Opera House can have more shows, bring in more money. The Chamber can, you know, they bring in money. So I don't know, I think I'm with Elsa on this one.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying, Andy, and I think that, you know, like when we had ARPA funds, previous boards had more ability to spread it around. And even $125,000 is just not that much
No,
to
it's
spread
not.
around. And if we had, I feel like the approach of like whoever asks gets a little something, it's not really, I don't really enjoy that. So like if we had, you know, just even if we had 5 more, it just dilutes it even further.
No, it's the presentations themselves, you know, like when Duffy is like, hey, look, you know, I don't even absolutely need dollars and cents from you guys, but I'd love to partner and work on other things. You
Yeah,
know, that's an approach that's like, great, you know what, cause this year we can't.
yeah,
But the presentations and mixed across, you know, from whether it was from Adam or whether it was from the Opera House or whether it was from the Chamber or, you know, the EDC, these things are important and they might not be as important, but they are still important. And,
yeah,
you know, I'm not saying anyone who comes to the table gets something because we know we can probably skip ski joining, but the other, you know, the economic component, the far-reaching effects of neglecting that
yeah,
are something I don't don't feel personally comfortable with completely excluding them. I am okay with the idea that, you know, some of these, the groups that really deal with at-risk people and vulnerable peoples, they need more of that slice of that pie, but, you know, the total exclusion of everyone else in that, gives me reason for concern.
So, okay, I totally agree with you, Andy, and I think that's why when I brought up, when Nancy was here presenting, it probably didn't come off right because I brought it up at the wrong time, but we have a tourism and economic development department, and the tourism panel fields these kinds of requests that have come from the Chamber, Ski Touring, the Tabor, like I feel like there's already a pot dedicated to some of those funds. But it's not big enough to spread around as much as this, but I think that moving forward, I would rather see some of those requests come through that department. It'd be more a holistic conversation about how does the government play a role in supporting economic development?
Yeah,
And through that, here are some of the entities that we're gonna partner with in these ways, as opposed to us being like, okay, we got 120,000, how can we like piecemeal some economic development out of that?
the other part of this conversation that we do need to be honest with ourselves about is that these haven't been handled properly historically. And I think in any other situation, if we're giving taxpayer dollars to an entity, this is basically a grant, but it's from the county level. And it's like, how is this even, we don't have any tracking, we don't have any data, we don't know how these dollars and cents are actually being spent on the ground, we have an idea. And that's another reason why I'm like, I wanna cut this in half and I wanna make some changes to understand how these dollars are even being used, cause I don't know right now, like I know
Okay.
it helps, but.
We've received reports from the Conservation District, we received reports from most of the folks within the Stronger Futures Coalition, and Treetop has come and presented to us, I don't know what we've given to them in the past, or if they've actually reported directly on the funding that we've given them. But I feel like we've received reports, so I don't know where I don't know
That I
who
feel
you're
like is
talking
the
about.
root of a lot of the controversy around whether counties should even be giving money to nonprofits or not, right? Like there hasn't been real strict guidelines on,
Well, I mean, it comes from the Constitution, that was written, whatever, 170 years ago. So there's some language in there about not aiding corporations, right? And some counties have interpreted that to not providing aid to nonprofits, but there's, the courts have carved out this public purpose exception, which is essentially driven a hole, and the exception has swallowed the rule, as you say.
yeah,
Yeah,
So some counties interpret it one way and other counties interpret it other way. Like I was looking at some of counties' agenda recently, and I noticed they had a bunch of nonprofits lining up to request funds, just like happens here, so.
okay, so I guess in my conversations with people in the building, there was sentiment that we don't have enough reporting on how the dollars are being used and whether they fall in line with the county's vision or not. So I guess I'm going off of not my own just personal opinions, this is like something that I'm being told.
yeah, and I guess I would drill down on that to say who,
Okay, so,
specifically who, so that we can follow up with them to be like, hey, you don't get money until you give us reports based on the money that you're getting.
right, and, I mean, I don't, I'm still of the mind that we gotta cut that in half and then decide who gets what slice of the pie after that.
That's fine.
That's,
Yeah, that's fair. It sounds like there's some agreement on who can get the slice of the pie. And now how big the slice of the pie is.
which is really what we need to know right now.
And you're suggesting 60,000, I'm suggesting 80,000. What's in the budget is 120.
Yeah.
If we went to 80,000, it would be 25,000 to Treetop, which is their full amount requested. It would be 20,000 to the Conservation District, which is the full amount requested. And it would be $35,000 to Stronger Futures.
At 80,000?
That would be 80,000.
Originally you said 25 to Stronger Futures.
10 to Conservation
10 to Conservation,
and
20 to Treetop.
25 to Treetop.
That's 50, that's 60,000.
I'm suggesting bumping Conservation to the full amount requested and another $10,000 to Stronger Futures.
That's 80 though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like keeping Conservation at 10. And,
That would get us down to 70.
Do you wanna be the middle guy and put us at 70?
Love it.
60 or 80?
you guys are respectful.
I got less.
Okay, cool.
And then you guys wanna vote later on how you wanna break that 70 up. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, we have to vote later.
Yeah, we'll make a
Yeah,
final official
totally.
decision
Okay.
on that. Sure.
So I'm gonna recap and then we gotta get moving, cause this man has to leave us in a little bit. We got 2 other things to do. Animal shelter, somewhere between
Something going
50
on tonight.
and 25K I'll be cutting. Fire, I'm gonna cut 100. Nonprofits, we're gonna cut them down to only getting 80K, 70K, sorry. DA's office is gonna lose 4K, which leaves us 228, I think, left to cut. No, that was with me making my own cuts over here. So I still will have a bit to cut. I'm probably gonna cut from
You've got
road and bridge
288.
and I may have to cut a little bit from our IT. And then I'll figure the rest out.
Thank you, Candace. It was
Yeah.
difficult work.
Alright,
Can you cut 10 out of my pay?
I don't know if by statute we're allowed to do that.
You could go on it.
You donated
You
that.
can. You have to donate it to the community fund, so.
Okay, shall we go into executive session?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
it is-
we still got two things.
It's 3:28 PM, we will conclude this special meeting, Lee County Board of County
No,
Commissioners.
don't conclude the meeting.
No, you're just
Oh.
going into
I know.
executive session.
Okay,
Yes.
special meeting's done, we're moving into,
No, the special meeting is still on.
This is still a special
You have
meeting.
to have the meeting
Within the
Okay.
within the
at
executive
this time, we
session.
will move into executive session.
Yeah.
Present at this executive session, is everyone in the room staying?
I don't think everyone needs to stay, yeah.
Okay,
I usually don't stay.
Yeah, usually the clerk,
Yeah.
it's
It's
always just
usually-
Candace and me and.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, at this time, we'll move into executive session. Present at executive session will be County Attorney Matt Hobbs, County Manager Candace Bryans, County Commissioner Elsa Tharp, County Commissioner Matt Bullock, and County Commissioner Andrew Lee.
Okay.
Thank you,
See ya, Josh.
You know where to find me.
I know,
Yep, no worries.
we don't have,
Thanks, Andy.
I should've gotten new chairs when I had this, before we knew how tight things were gonna be.
We could build benches out of the brick that we're gonna take out of this.
Get some church pews.
Rick might be more comfy than those chairs.
Okay, I gotta go get Andy.
Oh, I should I stop pause
No,
for
well,
Sandy? Sorry, it gives her a break so she's not watching for hours trying to figure out where to stop.
No, that's fine,
Editing.
we know the pause. You just speed
As much
bumps
fun
and
as
that.
it is for her to watch.
Oh my god, I mean, honestly, there's probably some pretty entertaining stuff in some of these.
Hey, Brian, we're going into executive session, so I have to remove you,
Thank
bud. Just so you know. I wanna. Oop, thanks, sorry.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'm good, guys.
See ya.
Thank you, Josh. Okay. We're in executive session,
Okay.
door's locked,
Did we make it?
hello executive.
What's up?
Let's restart the recording real quick.
Can we pause?
I did, I just paused for
Oh,
a
okay,
second.
okay.
Do you need to say something before?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Well, I'll start. I'm looking at this little slice of land that's been.
No, no, no.
Let me
Sorry,
start.
time out.
Sorry.
So we're now in executive session pursuant to 24-6-402 subsection 4B for the purpose of receiving legal advice from the county attorney regarding the purchase of land from the Lake County School District. I certify that all or portion of the matters to be discussed in the executive session are protected by the attorney-client privilege, therefore pursuant to statute, the electronic recording of this executive session may now be stopped. We'll stop the recording. And
Okay.
Just wait. Now I know this stuff is loading, okay, cool. It is 3:44 PM. We will come out of executive session and back into special meeting, or whatever.
We're still in special meeting.
I don't know why this is tripping me up so much today. For the record, no official decisions were made in executive session. We will now deliberate and have discussion to make decisions officially.
on your next agenda item, yeah.
Just wanted to,
Oh yeah, there we go.
wanted to make sure it was on the
That
agenda.
was my freehand of listing agenda item number 3, discussion and consideration of possible action regarding direction to staff concerning the purchase contract and related negotiations with Lake County School District, led by the BOCC. I will go ahead and start. In light of information that we discussed during executive session, I would look at our options. We have the option of moving forward with the purchase of this land, from the school district for a project that is pretty far out. We have the option of not moving forward with this purchase. The details, that we discussed, really have to shed a lot of light on where we're at as a county, what we have left in our cup to keep spending money on. I personally, and still traumatized by the amount of cutting that we're doing out of this budget, so I feel like moving forward with any purchases that don't have really clear defined needs in the near future seems like a no-go for me. Yeah.
I don't like that it's a sliver of land that doesn't seem usable. I know we were talking about using it for access. The project at Harrison Field may or may not ever happen. Who knows? It doesn't seem prudent to go forward with a purchase of that property at this point, based on our budget. Just based on the properties of physical land, doesn't seem that, it doesn't seem like a worthwhile piece of land to me.
I appreciate the previous board's vision when they were making these decisions and trying to cover all the bases of making sure something this, of this magnitude could happen with as minimal holdups as possible. But just, being handed the reins on some of the other projects and seeing how incredibly difficult they can be to get across the finish line when details come across, and then trying to wrap my head around something as awesome as it was, the vision that they were alluding to with Harrison Field. I don't see any solution or any answer for that given our current situation and how different that looks from where we might have been a year or more ago. And I have a lot of concern about moving forward with anything that's connected to Harrison Field at this time.
I personally wanna do anything we can to support schools, and if purchasing land is something we can do to help them, I wanna do it. And unfortunately, with our fiduciary duty to take care of the county, we are not in a position where we can actually be spending $1 million. And that's really disappointing to me that we're not in a healthy enough financial position where we could be helping our partners. So I will definitely prioritize having a financially healthy county first.
Yeah.
And doing anything we can to be really good partners with the schools in the future.
I agree, that's a good point. But this isn't it, we just simply, something else would have to get cut.
It doesn't feel responsible to me.
Yeah.
No, we have to get it back into our reserves.
Yeah.
It's not actually money that we had to spend.
Yeah,
And
not at this
unfortunately,
point,
now we know
knowing
that.
what we know.
And we're gonna try to course correct now, and hopefully in the future, when partners come to us with asks, we will have a better understanding of what we can and can't give.
Yeah.
And be able to follow through with integrity in what we actually have and what we can offer to people.
Yeah.
And I think that we've made a lot of steps that can set us up to not make this kind of action in the future. And I don't like that this has to be one of the things that we do in our seats. But I wanna have more integrity in our financial partnerships with people who need it
Mm-hmm.
and be able to follow through when we say we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish we could right now.
I think I agree.
I would make a motion to direct staff to negotiate exit from our purchase contract with the Lake County School District regarding the Harrison Field land.
Can you just add negotiate or terminate
negotiate or terminate the
contract?
the purchase contract with the Lake County School District.
Seconded.
To a vote?
Aye.
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 Now you can have special session.
It is 3:50 PM. We will conclude today's special meeting of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners.
Nice.
Alright, good work, team. Hard afternoon.